suggest a new strategy, yacht.
Only different in your mind.
Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi. You're my only hope.
We made our way to the Galapagos Islands, the main island of Santa Cruz, and we moored in Academy Bay, just to the north of our anchorage was the Charles Darwin Research Centre Institute, and this was one of the main reasons for us coming here, to learn more about this most amazing planet and learn about the insights that Charles Darwin gave us. The wildlife was everywhere as we came in. More fish, more dolphins, more turtles, every type of lizard, even in the water. Nice warm weather, not a sign of rain, not much wind, but it was lovely. Lots of friendly pelicans around the place. The ones in Australia are white, these are a bit grey. A lot of sunning seals. If our freeboard was any lower, the seals would have calmed down well. Anyway, we went up to the Charles Darwin Research Station. It was very dynamic. Many decades old, some of them hundreds of years old. It was all slow-mo, definitely, but it was fascinating. After watching them have a really exciting time, we decided to go and see if we could see them in the wild. So we went up to the national park in the centre of the island. They had a lot of respect for the wildlife. Anyways, lots of people around too, but also the wildlife, just lizards like this. This amazing black cricket. Because it was all volcanic, we went and found a walk through an old lava tube. Anyway, this is up in the bush. I forgot to take some lunch, but we caught a bus up to the Central Highlands. As with all these countries, the catching of buses is exciting. Everyone just piled in. We found this lovely track and we walked and walked. Then we helped ourselves some bush tucker, which was some nice fruit we found with some amazing birds. Looking for the tortoise, but we haven't seen one yet. Eventually we found one. It sounded like a wild horse running through the undergrowth. In the meantime, the rest of the wildlife kept us entertained. bush, running wild. We moved through the bush like it was a bulldozer. Anyway, made our way back to the harbour, and some beautiful houses and growing vegetables and things. Here's a photo looking back over towards the harbour. Our friends on Tacid decided to leave before we did. We caught up with them again in French Polynesia. We took out our time to leave. And we went to visit this seal colony on the entrance to the harbour. Helen jumped in the dinghy and paddled over to them. Seals were fascinated with her as she was with them. Helen took some photos of wandering staff from the dinghy, and that was an eye-opener to us because it made it look small. There's Andy on the boat. Anyway, we're off. We're off to French Polynesia. Gotta wait for Helen. There's St. Helens, good out in the distance there. Eventually we got it back on board and we're cruising off around the bottom end of the Galapagos, the southern side of it. You can see some of the chart. Another month trip, 36 days to the Marquesas Islands, 3,000 plus nautical miles. Not a lot of traffic there. Some long line fishing boats. We saw them close to the Marquesas when there's nothing else closer to the Galapagos side of it, and then not much. Caught a couple of fish, but more fish here than we saw in the Atlantic. As the way Murphy would have it, you catch a fish one day and then the next fish would be the next day, so you're still eating. Our friends on Tamana catch up to us as Model 33 from Australia. We did an exchange mid-ocean where they gave us some fresh brownies and we gave them half a watermelon. Everyone was happy with that one. Lots and lots of dolphins and lots of fish. First thing we'd be aware of would be a huge school of tuna coming through, powering along, and a little while later a huge school of dolphins would come along afterwards. Sometimes the wind was lighter than other times. We'd be running sometimes with twin spinnakers up, which was really nice, very relaxing. The trip was rather, 36 days, a long trip, but we're getting used to these big ones. Lots of fish around us. We're inspired by, we've been reading the Phil Hardell books about them catching a shark and pulling it on board, and Helen had a go at and caught a fish leaning through the over the side of the boat, and she got a hand around it, but she wasn't able to extract herself back through the lifelines and had to let it go. I think she was as shocked as the fish was, but anyway, the one that got away. One stage we actually jumped over the side and cleaned some of the growth off the bottom of the boat. So even though we'd sailed it in the Caribbean not so long ago, the growth was quite prolific. What we found though was when we arrived in the Marquesas Islands, the sucker fish came out and cleaned off any all the growth off the bottom of the boat, which was good. Sometimes the dolphins would stay for us for, it seemed like, days. Eventually coming into the first island, or the island that came into the Marquesas, was Hivaroa. Our friends on Tassett sailed out to meet us, which was brilliant. And what an amazing island group this was. But Hivaroa is a mountainous island, and sheer cliffs coming down to the ocean. It's such spectacular landfall to make. There's this Hugh and Kathy on Tassett. We'd actually been chatting to them regularly every day on the HF radio. So it was great. And they showed us where the moorings were and so on, where the anchorage was. Here's a little snippet of zooming in on the anchorage. It was very small anchorage, jam-packed with boats, but we fitted in, and that was all fine until a storm came up, and there was a bit of a low tide came as well, and the swell was coming in. There was a bit of surf running into the shore. It's right for us because we're the last ones there, but some of the others were closer into shore than us, and they were in the surf line. Anyway, there was no damage done. The locals made the most of it, and they had their surfboards out, and we went over and visited our friends John and Jenny on Starway, and they had at least a metre clearance under their keel. They weren't worried, so we didn't have to worry about anything. We just had put out our anchors and another amazing place which I'd love to go back to is Starway. It's a nice round-bilged alloy yacht, S&S design. They said when we were in Hivaroa then it was time to go again. We went over to an adjacent island just en route to Tahiti, and here's our friends on Midgeville. The route to Tahiti was took us about 5 days, but as you can see from this chart, it was nearly 800 nautical miles, but we had to weave our way through the Tuamotus. Yeah, next time we'll stop at some of them. A lot of our friends stopped there. It was a great voyage, bit of rain, bit of wind, bit of everything. This time of the year was a great cruising time for this part of the world. We got closer and closer to Tahiti, and here we zoom in on the main harbour of Papeete. Galapagos is another great landfall, mountainous and friendly. Came into the harbour there and were able to anchor stern on, and a lot of big cruise ships in the big ship part of the harbour. It was a nice shot of Wandering Star Mora stern to looking out into the distance to Maria. It's funny, we look forward to getting some sleep when we arrive there, and we actually moored just offshore from a church that rang its bell on the hour all night. Anyway, we got used to that. Getting back into visiting the markets and things and fresh food. I think next time we go there we'll make a point of rent a car. Lots of canoe racing once again here, and we're able to catch buses all over the place without any problem at all. We actually bought a hard solar panel here, which was great. And there's a picture of Helen pulling herself out on the stern line. We went over to Maria, which was great, really picturesque and the iconic mountain shape there. Walking up in the hills, surprise, surprise, there was a pineapple farm and some more ruins of bygone civilizations. It was good to get away from the big towns and just get into the hills and have a look at the great scenery. It's funny, we were wandering around the island, we came across this place which is all these abandoned whitewoods just under a tree. Anyway, this is the anchorage we're in. When it came time to leave, we were joined by some dolphins going out through the pass. We made our way off to Bora Bora, but one of the things that happened is we're going out on passage. The motor stopped working, so we actually, it's one of the great things about SABs, it was easy to work on. Pulled down the motor overnight and we're off and away the next morning, and just had sand that had been come in through the water intake, and was holding some of the valves open. Actually the head had filled up with salt water, but that wasn't a problem. It just cleaned it up, rebuilt it, bit of oil, and it all cleaned up. Weather was fine. We were sailing boat, no problem. It's coming into Bora Bora, very iconic landscape. I made a point of that every time we're coming into a new harbour, is come in when the sun was high in the sky, and we could see the pretty views. This is in the lake inside the reef of Bora Bora. We were able to go to the mooring off outside the Bora Bora Yacht Club, and it was extremely deep. A lot of wildlife there, and we put together our kite and just photographed these fantastic fish. We went exploring around the inside of the reef. It was like being in an aquarium. Here's a picture of us with a kayak. Also, there's quite a bit of bush tucker. There's breadfruit there. We learned how to cook breadfruit, which was nice. tons of pawpaws and some pamplemousse. We're able to rent some bicycles and went further exploring. We've been good to go for a wander up into the peaks up there. We didn't have quite enough time for that. Just wandering around and going to the various little food stalls and so on. You get to meet some of the locals as well, and they gave us lots of interesting insights into the place. Very soon it was time to be leaving again. This time we were going off to Rarotonga, the capital of the Cook Islands. But before we go, we had to have the ultimate photo opportunity. This is our Clipper folding kayak that we're able to store in the quarter berth. This is Andy. No, he's not going to eat it. Hermit crabs are everywhere. We've only seen them in pet shops before. There's the restaurant part of the yacht club there. So it was a 7-day trip, a week, to get us to Rarotonga. And not much shipping or anything there. Eventually we got there. And it was well worth the effort. This is the capital of the Cook Islands, Rarotonga, and it's a really pretty shot here of the harbour. A fantastic time in Rarotonga. We went and explored the local and then climbed up over the main range, which is great. It was up one side, down the other side. Found a nice pool to swim in. It was a day walk, and when we got to the other side there was a nice resort there. Put on nice hungy, native barbecues for all comers, bit of island dancing. It's just spectacular scenery up in the mountains there. It was well worth the effort of getting up there. Here's a nice picture of the river on the other side, the pools where we jumped into. When we got to the other side, there was low tide and we were able to explore out onto the coral reef where some of the locals are out there fishing and carrying on and so on. And this is the view from where we walked over. We also, this is Arnold, who was running Arnold's Nest, which is a HF Marine, HF radio sked. We've been talking to him for the last few months since we'd left, since the whole time we're in the Pacific. And he was able to give us weather and passage information, which was brilliant. It was lovely to catch up with him. This is back in the harbour again. Everyone moored stern to. And this is time to go again. We're off again. Off to New Caledonia. It was another long trip. It was about a month. We wove our way across the Pacific. We missed out on going to Niue, which would have been good. We missed out on we didn't go to Tonga. And we bypassed Fiji and Vanuatu as well. As we came into we weren't necessarily planning to get around Noumea, but when we got to the south of Noumea, we got into a storm zone again. We hadn't been in a storm for 11 months. 10 months since we'd been in Bay of Biscay. So we decided we would have a break because the weather was still cook after the storm passed. So we went into Noumea, and here's a picture of Port Moselle, which is the marina. Everybody coming into you can see the lighthouse that we're coming in on here on the BA light. It was quite interesting. It was only about a nautical mile wide, the opening, but there was breakers all around us, and once we got a good sight of the lighthouse, there wasn't any problems. And when we got inside, we realised there was quite a number of ships up and down the coast on the outer reef. In fact, I think that's one of them. The lighthouse was quite spectacular, coming through the pass. Just threw in some of these satellite photos of it just to show how spectacular it was as well. So we went into Noumea. Helen had to get back to work, so we organised for my Uncle Jay to come out and crew with me for the last leg. But in the meantime, we explored all the interesting islands in the area around Noumea, inside the coral reef. It was a great place, great weather. So we just go out for day sails, and in the meantime we're organising flights and things with immigration and everything. Lots of nice photo opportunities, and spectacular scenery once again. We explored both north and south of Noumea into the little island, so we actually spent a lot longer here than we would have normally. But it worked out well because we needed a good weather window to have a good trip across to Bundaberg, and in the end we had a brilliant trip. So it's just a 7-day trip across there. So one of the funny things was before we left, Uncle Jay and I went to the local yacht club and saw a documentary on the Queen's birthday song, which was didn't exactly put us in the right mindset. Anyway, we had a brilliant trip. The wind was after us most of the time, and it was just a 7-day trip into Bundaberg. It was really nice arriving in Australia. Efficient port, immigration, customs, everybody. No one was flashing guns in those days, and everyone was just friendly. We had radios ahead, told them what we're doing, and they came and we did all the paperwork. Bundaberg was a great place to great port of entry there. Helen had, in the meantime, had flown out, and she caught a train up to Bundaberg and met us there when we arrived that weekend. Then she went back to Sydney again, and Jay and I we sailed down the Great Sandy Strait and inside of Fraser Island, went out through the Wide Bay Bar, and made our way down to Malula Bar, where we stayed for a while, and then we went into the Tangalooma, just inside the Brisbane waters, and that was fascinating. Just inside Moreton Island, and then we went down the inside passage from there down to Southport, which was great. Great weather, great fun. Bit of a change from deep ocean sailing. Not much, no swell, just sandbars. From Southport, Andy single-handed the boat down to Coffs Harbour, and Helen caught a train up to Coffs Harbour on the Friday night, and about midnight, and we're off the next morning for a weekend sail down the coast to Sydney, which is really good fun. We arrived on the early morning just before a southerly buster came through, and we were greeted by the family standing on North Head waving bright colours, flags and things, and then we went round to Clontarf Marina. Where's all the paint gone? Jeez. That was thanks to the storms off New Caledonia. Anyway, it was good to be home. This is a shot of everybody. Uncle Joe was a bit camera shy there, but let's go wandering. Great voyage. Thanks for watching.